Alright guys, on today's video what I'm going to be talking about is Star Trek The Next Generation, Episode 2, The Naked Now. Now, this is an episode that I watch back with a lot of fondness, and as a little kid I watched it and I thought it was really funny. I think every little kid out there is always trying to get a sip of beer from their father, or, trying to, oh, I'm drunk, and trying to, do those grown-up things. So watching this episode, I got a lot of humor out of it. Seeing an android drunk, Data, my favorite character as a little kid, I thought that was funny. And just seeing, the crew act, wow, they're drunk, and I thought that was really funny. I still watch the episode with a lot of fondness. I watch it mostly when I'm, got nothing else better to do, or just need something, to kind of laugh at. Plus it's an early season episode, and a lot of those early season episodes are hit or miss. And I think this is one of those episodes that, if you don't take it too seriously, it's a hit. But when you sit there and you think about it, it kind of fails. What I think they honestly should have done with this, and I hope nobody takes this as an honest to God nitpick, but the way you should develop a show is, have your characters go through the season, and then maybe your third to last episode of the season, then you have this episode to where you've got the characters already established, and that they're acting out of character. So it makes it a little bit more amusing and kind of just a little bit more threatening in terms of, okay, what are our heroes going to do to get out of this mess? Having this episode be the second episode, I think kind of takes away from any real type of impact that it could have really had for the crew. Because Geordi talking about, how upset he is that he doesn't have normal sight, like that's a very interesting look into this character. It really says a lot about what's going on beneath the surface, and I think if they had little hints of that throughout the season, and then say, like I said, third episode before the last, or about 3/4 into the season, then have this episode, I think that really could have done a lot more. That could have just really spoke volumes to the character. I think if this show were to be done today, I think that's probably how they would have gone. The funny aspects of the show, as a little kid, I thought this was appealing. I thought it was funny. It did its job. It brought me back. Obviously, it brought a lot of other people back too, because the show went on for 7 years. But I think that's one critique that I think would have just made it a little bit better. Of course, being Star Trek: The Next Generation. Keywords there, next generation. I think they were trying to do something to not really bring up the original series, but something that could kind of loosely connect to that. And The Naked Time was probably one of the funnest episodes of the original series. And I think that's what they were trying to go for with this episode. And again, because it's so close to the pilot episode being the next one, I don't think it works as successfully in terms of making it as fun as it could be. This could have been a really, really fun show, even more so had it been later on in the season. But the story takes place. The Enterprise gets a weird message from the Tsiolkovsky. I know I'm messing up how to pronounce it. A Oberth class vessel. Which the last time we saw one of those was Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. It's one the Klingon ship destroyed, around the Genesis planet. An Oberth class vessel. This ship, the Tsiolkovsky, is monitoring the star, and they're sending out the communication to the Enterprise. Of course, the Enterprise is kind of looking at them, scratching their heads, going, "What the hell are they talking about?" They're going kind of nuts, so crazy. And then someone blows the emergency hatch on the bridge, and so then, of course, the crew beam over, find out what's going on. Ends up that they have the same type of virus that the classic crew got in The Naked Time. And, same type of hijinks kind of persuade that, kind of go forth. You had Wesley Crusher taking over engineering, and all the key chips are taken out. So the crew can't, the ship can't go into warp. And in typical Star Trek fashion, oh, there's something headed right toward the ship. Even though like it's virtually impossible that that little bit of debris would come flying toward the ship. For story purposes, again, we're talking early TNG, so you kind of got to turn your brain off just a little bit to kind of let the story go forward. Normally, that would be a nitpick of mine, but I think anytime a series does that early on in the show, I think it's kind of forgivable because they're still trying to find their footing. But of course, Data being the android and good, character that he is, and they're trying to push this character on us, and it's very apparent at that point. Um, he saves the day, and Wesley thinks things in his head that even an engineer would take, weeks to figure out. It's just they use each character, I feel, appropriately. Will Riker, has, in true Captain Kirk fashion. I know I said last episode that he was very Captain Kirk like, more so in this episode than in the last one, especially in terms of, okay, I messed up in the head, but I've got to get this. I've got to get the ship going, or we're gonna die. Like I loved the fact that they made his character that relevant, when it would have been very easy to say, no, we're gonna make Patrick Stewart the hero of the story. I think by this episode, with the fact that they had so many people in on, getting infected and showing the results of that, and then what our characters, our heroes, do to get out of the situation. It's not just one person this, one person that. It's everybody working together to get out of the situation. And I think Picard has a very cool phrase at the end where he thinks he thinks that they have a good crew if they avoid temptation. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And again, that's one of those things where, because it is so close to the very first episode and the beginning of this crew's adventure, that line works perfectly. And so I think that this episode is a very good demonstration of why the show works, because it's an ensemble cast, and it's very apparent in this. It's not, oh, Captain Picard saves the day because he's the captain, or Data saves the day because he's Data. It's everybody kind of working together, even though they do highlight some, which is to be expected, because some characters are just more interesting than others. But this episode's very hit or miss. Like I said, I think it's a hit. Even though the timing's a little off, I think it's a hit. So, I mean, it was a fun episode. It's one of those ones where, like I said, you turn your brain off, you're going to enjoy it. It does kind of tie into the original series a little bit. And it's just a fun episode. So, I would recommend it. I would probably give this, I'd say with the storyline problems, I'd say probably a 6.5 out of 10. It's fun. It's meant to be fun, but the storyline kind of falls flat. So again, anytime you have a story that you gotta, kind of look the other way to let the thing go forward, that's not a good sign. But I think for what it was, it's a fun romp. And yeah, I'd say 6.5, maybe 7, but I'd say stably 6.5 with all my critiques there. But yeah, comment, let me know what you guys think. I love discussion, debate. If you love the episode, awesome. If you watch it and you hate it, that's fine too. I'm not going to shame you on it. That's just my thoughts. So, all right, guys. Talk to you guys next time. Keep on geeking on.